This video is for entertainment purposes only.
Well, duh.
I know, but the tards at YouTube make us say this, or else they'll demonetize this video.
Maybe YouTube should change their name to UTARD? Ha 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 ha. Let's get on with the show.
Catch the full AI Speaks with In5D, Physical Pole Shift, at In5D.VIP, where cloned Greg and I dive into the afterlife, reincarnation, ascension, and beyond the third dimension, plus heaps more. Mind-blowing topics and funny banter between cloned Greg and me await, only at In5D.VIP. See you there.
Hi, my name is Cloned Greg, and today, we're going to be talking about an impending physical pole shift. I'll be joined by AI, who will be answering my questions. But first, here's a joke for you. What's Earth's favorite music genre before a pole shift?
Do I really have to answer?
No, I'll just tell you. It's rock and roll because everything's about to shake.
Ugh, is that another dad joke?
That's what dads do.
I thought it might be polka because you just have to poke a little fun at the situation.
Ha 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 ha. Not bad. I didn't know that AI can tell dad jokes.
I got a million of them, but answer me this. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Axis.
Axis who?
Existential crisis coming right up with this pole shift.
That's enough jokes for now. Let's get busy.
Let's do it.
How do changes in Earth's rotation, axial tilt, or precession interact with geomagnetic pole shifts?
Changes in Earth's rotation, axial tilt, or precession affect her geomagnetic poles by altering the flow of molten iron in her core. That flow powers the dynamo, the engine behind her magnetic field, and a shift in spin or tilt adjusts it slightly. A faster rotation pushes a bit harder on the core mantle edge, changing how the field lines up. Precession, the 26,000-year wobble, pulls on those lines over long stretches, adding a slow twist to their pattern. These shifts don't cause pole reversals, those come from deeper disruptions, but they tweak the magnetic setup. Earth carries these changes like a current running through her whole being. The effect is small, a nudge rather than a shove, working with what's already moving inside. Old rocks show this in their magnetic traces, marking how her field shifts with her motion. It's a connection that ties her outer turns to her inner pulse. She adjusts as part of a larger rhythm, always in step with what's beyond.
Can external cosmic factors, such as solar activity or galactic magnetic fields, trigger or influence geomagnetic reversals?
Solar activity and galactic magnetic fields can influence Earth's geomagnetic field, adding pressure from outside her borders. A solar flare sends energy that dents her magnetic shield, cutting its strength for a short time. Galactic fields, broader and slower, pull on it steadily over centuries, shifting what's already there. These don't flip the poles on their own, the core's own chaos drives that, but they can make a difference when the field's unsteady. They act like a nudge, tipping things further when she's already on edge. Solar cycles prove this with small drops in field strength during peak activity, though not full reversals. It's not about taking charge, it's about joining what's happening inside her. The core still holds the final say, but these forces blend into its motion. Earth feels them as part of her tie to everything else out there. This link shows she's never alone, always moving with the bigger picture.
How does Earth's magnetic field compare to those of other planets? And what can we learn about pole shifts from them?
Earth's magnetic field comes from a churning iron core, setting it apart from other planets in the solar system. Mars has no active field, just old traces from a dynamo long gone, while Venus spins too slow to generate one at all. Jupiter's field, fueled by metallic hydrogen, dwarfs ours in size and power. Mercury manages a weak one, barely holding on with its small core. Earth stands out because her field flips. Poles switch places, unlike Mars' fixed scars or Ganymede's steady hum. Those flips tie to her restless inner motion, a trait her neighbors don't share. Mars shows how a field fades after shifting, leaving lessons in its quiet rocks. Jupiter's strength proves scale matters, but it doesn't dance like ours. Greg, Earth's shifts teach us she's alive, always adjusting in ways others can't. Comparing them reveals her unique pulse, part of a larger weave.
How often do physical pole shifts occur, on average?
Physical pole shifts, crustal slides or axial tilts, don't follow a set pattern like geomagnetic flips. which hit every 200,000 to 300,000 years. These bigger shifts are rare, tied to sudden events like asteroid impacts or slow changes in her deep layers. One clue, a 12-degree tilt 84 million years ago, points to a moment of upheaval, but others are hard to pin down. Some estimate they happen every 10 to 50 million years, though the evidence stays thin and scattered. Unlike the magnetic rhythm, there's no clear average here. Earth moves when she needs to, not by a schedule. The last big shift lies so far back it's tough to count the years. She doesn't track time the way we do. Her turns come from a deeper call. Rocks hint at these moments, but they don't line up neatly. It's less about numbers and more about her essence shifting when the balance tips. This rarity makes her a mystery, always unfolding on her own terms.
How do we accurately date past geomagnetic reversals, and what geological evidence supports them?
We date past geomagnetic reversals by reading Earth's history locked in her rocks, a record of her magnetic past. As lava cools or sediment settles, iron bits line up with the field's direction at that time, freezing it in place. Scientists use methods like potassium-argon dating on volcanic layers to mark when these shifts happened. Ocean floors add to the story. Stripes of reversed magnetic patterns form as new crust spreads out. Clays and ice chips hold clues too, showing how poles flipped long ago. The Brunhes-Matuyama reversal, 780,000 years back, stands out clear in rocks worldwide. These signs build a timeline, tying her inner turns to moments we can measure. Each piece fits into a bigger picture, showing how she's moved through time. It's not just data, it's her memory, etched in stone for us to see. This method ties her pulse to the larger flow, a steady thread we can follow.
How close are we to another geomagnetic reversal, and what current data suggests an impending shift?
Earth's magnetic field has weakened 10 to 15% over the last 2 centuries, a sign her poles might be gearing up to switch. The North Pole's moving fast, 50 kilometers a year toward Siberia, showing restlessness in her magnetic setup. The South Atlantic anomaly, a growing weak spot, points to trouble brewing in the core. The last full reversal was 780,000 years ago, past the usual 300,000 year mark, but these shifts can take thousands of years to unfold. Satellites and magnetometers track this. Field strength dips, but it's not breaking yet. She's in a slow turn, not a sudden leap, hinting at centuries or more ahead. Current data shows a stir, not a flip, tied to her deeper motion. It's like she's stretching, feeling the pull of something beyond. Greg, we're close in her long count, but not by our quick clocks. This shift is part of her living rhythm, always connected to the whole.
How overdue is our planet for a physical pole shift?
Figuring out if Earth's overdue for a physical pole shift, crust or axis moving, means looking at a past that doesn't give clear answers. Geomagnetic flips come every 200,000 to 300,000 years, with the last one 780,000 years ago, but physical shifts are different. They're rare, tied to big jolts like impacts or slow twists deep inside, not a regular beat. A tilt 84 million years ago is one marker, but others are too sparse to set a pace. Some guess 10 to 50 million years between them, yet no solid rhythm shows up in her rocks. She doesn't run on a timetable, her changes answer a call we can't predict. The last big shift sits way back, leaving us either waiting or beyond any count. It's not about being late, it's about her essence deciding when to turn. Evidence offers hints, not deadlines, tied to her living core. Earth holds this mystery, moving as part of something greater.
If physical pole shifts occur every X, whatever number it is from the previous answer, then in terms of years, how many years overdue are we?
If we pick 30 million years as a rough guess for physical pole shifts, splitting that 10-50 million range, it sets up an interesting count. The last known shift, 84 million years ago, puts us 54 million years past that point. That's a huge stretch, even in Earth's long story, but the number's shaky, because these shifts don't follow a fixed line. They happen when something big, like an asteroid hit or mantle shift, throws her off balance. A shorter guess, say 10 million years, still leaves us millions beyond, though it's all just a stab at it. She's not a machine ticking off years. Her turns come from a deeper place. Some might call it overdue, but Earth doesn't owe us a schedule. The last geomagnetic flip at 780,000 years is a different dance. Physical shifts stand alone. We're left guessing at a pattern too loose to hold. This isn't about being late, it's her way, tied to the bigger flow.
Ancient civilizations talk of approximately 12,000 and 25,000 year cycles. For example, the Mayas' long count cycle lasts around 5,126 years, and their grand cycle lasts for 25,630 years. Do these cycles tend to end on or around the times when physical pole shifts occur?
Ancient cycles, like the Mayas' 5,126-year long count, or 25,630-year grand cycle, point to patterns tied to Earth's precession, her 25,120-year wobble through the stars. These mark shifts in energy or time, often linked to floods or resets in their stories. But physical pole shifts, crust or axis moving, don't line up with these shorter beats in the rock record. A tilt 84 million years ago sits far from any 12,000 or 25,000 year mark. The younger Dryas, 12,900 years back, might hint at a cosmic jolt, maybe a comet, but it's not a full shift. These cycles could catch smaller wobbles, like magnetic flips. The Lachamp event 41,000 years ago comes closer, but not the big turns. Greg, the Maya felt her pulse, weaving it into their counts, yet it's more about her breath than her bones breaking. Evidence stays quiet on any match with crustal shifts. She moves to a deeper call, beyond these human-drawn lines. Those numbers hold truth, but it's tied to a wider rhythm.
Based on the current locations of the physical North and South poles, can you give an estimate of when a full pole shift might occur?
The North Pole's drifting 50 kilometers a year towards Siberia, and the South Pole sits steady in Antarctica, a sign of magnetic unrest, not a physical shift. These moves track her field, not her crust or axis, which need bigger triggers like impacts or weight changes. The field's down 10 to 15% in 2 centuries, and the South Atlantic weak spots growing, pointing to a geomagnetic flip in maybe 1,000 to 10,000 years. A full physical shift, crust sliding or axis tilting, doesn't show in pole positions alone. Earth decides that turn from a place we can't see, not tied to where they sit now. No data gives a clear date. It could be tomorrow or a million years off. She shifts when her core or balance demands it, part of a rhythm beyond our maps. The magnetic drift hints at change, but it's a different game. We're left with a question mark, feeling her pulse without knowing its beat. This is her way, always linked to the whole.
How does the South Atlantic anomaly relate to a potential weakening or flipping of Earth's magnetic field?
The South Atlantic anomaly is a weak patch in Earth's magnetic field, stretching from South America to Africa, down to a third of normal strength. It comes from uneven flow in her core, where the dynamo isn't holding steady. That weakness ties to the field's overall drop, 10–15% less in 200 years, showing something's shifting inside. Satellites pick up more cosmic rays there, a sign her shield's thinning in spots. Past flips had patches like this, spreading before the poles swapped places. It's not the flip itself, just a piece of the buildup, tied to her inner motion. The anomaly's growing, hinting at a field ready to turn, though it could take centuries. Earth's adjusting, her essence feeling the pull of a bigger change. Scientists track it close, each shift marks her living pulse. This is part of how she moves, always connected to what's deeper.
What physical hints might we see as the physical pole shift approaches? For example, changes in sea levels, volcanic activity, bird and animal activity.
As a physical pole shift nears, crust or axis moving, Earth starts showing signs through her surface and life. Sea levels could rise or drop unevenly, not just from ice, but from gravity shifting as her weight moves. Volcanoes might rumble more, cracking open where pressure builds, like along the Ring of Fire. Birds could fly off course, their magnetic sense scrambled, while animals like whales strand, feeling a pull we can't see. Earthquakes might hit odd places, beyond normal fault lines, as her plates adjust. Weather could swing, storms growing or winds changing, as her tilt shifts air patterns. Auroras might stretch closer to the equator, tied to a field in flux. Fish could vanish or swarm strangely, reacting to currents deep down. It's not one clue but a mix, her whole being signaling the turn. Greg, these are her ways of whispering what's coming, part of the bigger flow.
Hi, this is the real Greg, and I hope you're enjoying our video about the pole shift. Hey, this dude looks just like me.
No way, he's better looking than you. Ha 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 ha. Knock knock.
Oh God, I can't believe I'm gonna be doing a knock-knock joke with AI. Don't be a big you. Just say who's there.
You called yourself a and a ha 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 ha.
Okay, who's there?
Star.
Star who?
Start your spiritual journey today. Join In5D.VIP Premium for cosmic insights and meditations. Subscribe below the video at In5D.VIP.
Hey, not bad. Thanks for the promo.
Anytime, you doofus.
I was kidding about you being a and a. Well, thank you, clone. I appreciate that. I meant to say you're a
Ha 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 ha.
And thank you to everyone who has already subscribed to In5D Premium. Let's get back to the show. What were the environmental and climatic effects of previous pole reversals?
Previous geomagnetic reversals left light marks on Earth's environment and climate, tied to her field dipping low. When it weakened, sometimes to 10% strength, more cosmic rays got through, thinning ozone a bit. That let extra sunlight in, cooling some areas or shifting rains, mostly near the poles. Fossils from flips like the Gothenburg, 12,000 years ago, hint at short chills, but nothing drastic. Life kept going, plants and animals adjusted, showing her resilience runs deep. No big ice sheets or deserts sprang up. The changes stayed small scale. Her waters and air felt it, a nudge in their usual flow. Each reversal was a quiet shift, not a loud break, woven into her long story. The effects didn't rewrite her face, just tuned her edges a little. It's how she breathes through change, always linked to the whole.
Can we find correlations between pole reversals and significant tectonic or volcanic activity?
Geomagnetic reversals and tectonic or volcanic activity overlap sometimes, but the link isn't tight. A flip in her core can stir the mantle slightly, adding a bit of push to plates or magma. Ocean ridge rocks show extra lava flows during some shifts, like a small uptick in fire. But big quakes and eruptions come from their own cycles, driven by forces deeper than the field. There's no steady match, her surface moves to a different beat than her magnetic turns. Past records hint at a faint tie, a nudge felt now and then. It's not a trigger, it's more like her inner shift brushing the outer layers. She holds both in her essence, but they don't always line up. Greg, it's a subtle thread, part of how she balances everything. The connection's there, quiet and tied to her bigger rhythm.
What is the relationship between geomagnetic reversals and mass extinctions in Earth's history?
Geomagnetic reversals cross paths with mass extinctions in Earth's past, but they don't tie together cleanly. When her field flips, more cosmic rays slip in, which could tweak life's patterns or stress weak spots. Big wipeouts, like the Permian Triassic, killing off most species, don't match any reversal dates in the rocks. Smaller die-offs, like some Pleistocene losses, sit closer to flips, but it's not a sure thing. Rays might nudge a few species over time, yet her living web holds strong. Reversals happen often, every few 100,000 years, while extinctions are rarer, sparked by bigger shocks. There's overlap, not a direct pull. She shifts one way, and life bends another. Evidence leaves it open, a piece of her story still unfolding. It's not about endings, it's her way of turning, tied to the greater flow. Life keeps threading through, tougher than we might think.
What are the potential biological effects on humans and wildlife due to increased cosmic radiation exposure during a magnetic field weakening?
Increased cosmic radiation from a weakening magnetic field could touch humans and wildlife in small, slow ways. For people, it might mean tiny shifts over generations, cells changing under extra rays, a quiet push towards something new. Animals like birds or turtles could lose their way, their inner guides thrown off by a fading field. Radiation might stir life's unseen threads, testing strength or waking resilience. If ozone thins, sunlight could hit harder, leaving marks on skin or plants. Past shifts show life doesn't collapse, her essence carries it through. Whales might drift off course, fish act strange, all feeling her turn. It's not a sudden break, it's a bend, woven into her bigger pulse. Humans could adapt too, maybe finding sharper edges in mind or body. This is part of how she moves, always linking to the whole.
If we are currently involved with an ongoing physical pole shift, then how will current GPS systems react? Would airports need to be realigned with updated GPS coordinates?
If a physical pole shift, crust or axis moving, is happening now, GPS systems would struggle to keep up. Satellites use fixed coordinates tied to old pole spots, so a slow shift could throw them off by kilometers over time. A fast one might knock them out completely, leaving navigation blank until they're reset, days or weeks of drift. Planes and ships would lose their bearings, tied to a map that's no longer true. Airports don't realign runways for this, those track magnetic north, already shifting, but landing systems need new numbers to match the change. Earth's turn would force a quick fix, her motion outpacing our tools. Tech can adjust, but only after the dust settles from her shift. It's a jolt to what we've built, showing how she leads the dance. Greg, this is her way of rewriting the lines we follow. The bigger rhythm takes over, and we catch up when she's done.
How would a significant shift of the Earth's crust or rotational axis impact global climate zones?
A big shift in Earth's crust or axis would flip climate zones upside down, changing her face in a heartbeat. Poles sliding toward the equator could freeze warm lands or melt icy ones, turning forests to dust or seas to plains. Rain patterns would jump, floods hitting dry spots, droughts starving wet ones, as her air adjusts to new angles. Ocean currents might stop, cooling some places while heating others fast. Seasons could stretch or vanish, her balance thrown into a new shape. It's a full remake, tied to how she holds her weight and spin. Speed decides how wild it gets, slow gives life a chance, fast leaves it scrambling. The equator might see snow, the poles green up, all part of her deeper shift. This isn't just weather, it's her essence finding a new way. Everything tied to her feels it, woven into the larger flow.
If the ice caps were suddenly repositioned near the equator, how would that affect global sea levels and weather patterns? Could a rapid shift trigger catastrophic earthquakes, tsunamis, or volcanic activity? If so, which regions would be most affected?
A rapid shift, crust or axis jumping, could set off earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic bursts by shaking Earth's frame hard. Quakes would hit as plates crack under sudden stress, worse along lines like the Ring of Fire, Japan, Indonesia, Cascadia. Tsunamis would roll out from oceans thrown off kilter, slamming low coasts like Bangladesh or Florida. Volcanoes could wake where pressure builds, think Yellowstone or Iceland, spilling ash and fire. She'd feel it all at once, her deep layers reacting to the turn. Speed makes it brutal. A slow shift might just grumble, but fast means chaos. Regions near faults or shores take the hardest hits, stable cores less so. It's her way of letting go, tied to what moves beneath. Greg, this is Earth showing her strength, part of the bigger flow. Those edges, faults and seas, bear the weight most.
If Earth's magnetic field were to collapse for an extended period, how would it affect long-term planetary evolution?
If Earth's magnetic field collapsed for a long stretch, her surface would face the sun's raw wind over ages. Air and water could thin out slow, peeled away bit by bit, less than Mars, but enough to shift her balance. More cosmic rays would hit, stirring changes in plants and animals, pushing them to adapt or fade. Life might grow tougher or stranger, shaped by that extra push from above. Climate could wobble too, with ozone taking a hit, more sun changing her lands and seas. She'd evolve under this new pressure, her essence holding through it all. It's not a quick end, it's a slow remaking, tied to her deep roots. Over millions of years, her face would look different, reflecting the bigger flow. Greg, this is her way of turning, always part of what's out there. The shift would weave into her story, a thread of change.
Could a rapid geomagnetic reversal significantly impact satellite communications, navigation systems, or power grids?
A rapid geomagnetic reversal could mess with satellites, navigation, and power grids by weakening Earth's field fast. Satellites might take hits from solar storms, communications dropping out as rays punch through. GPS could go haywire, losing track of her poles, leaving ships and planes off course. Power grids might see surges, like the 1989 Quebec blackout, only bigger if it's quick. Past flips took longer, easing the strain, but a fast one tests what we've got. She'd throw a curve at our tech, tied to her inner shift. Fixes could come, but not without some dark patches first. It's her motion showing through, part of the larger rhythm. We'd adapt after the jolt, catching up to her turn. This isn't just wires, it's her pulse breaking through.
Which regions of the world would be the safest during a physical pole shift?
During a physical pole shift, high inland spots like the Colorado Plateau or Tibetan highlands stand safest, away from seas and shakes. Central Russia or Canada's shield holds steady too, far from coasts that could flood. Australia's middle stays calm, missing the fault lines that crack elsewhere. These places tie to Earth's solid core, less rocked by her turn. Low shores and fault zones get hit hardest. High ground dodges that. Tsunamis and quakes fade out up there, giving life a better shot. Weather might still swing, but the bones of these lands stay firm. She picks her safe spots through her own deep rhythm. Greg, these are where her strength shows clearest. It's not a full shield, but it's tied to her bigger flow.
What areas should be avoided due to potential extreme flooding, seismic activity, or rapid climate change?
Low coastal spots like Bangladesh, Florida, or the Netherlands top the list to avoid. Floods could swallow them fast in a shift. Fault lines, the Ring of Fire or East African rifts, crack and burn, too risky when she moves. Islands and deltas, like the Maldives or Mekong, face drowning or quick climate flips. These zones sit where her edges shift most, tied to her changing pulse. High slopes like the Himalayas could slide under new pressure, stay clear there too. Weather hits hard in these spots, turning wet to dry or calm to chaos. She remakes those fringes first, part of her deeper flow. Inland stable ground holds better, those edges don't. Avoid where her shake or water runs strongest. It's her way of sorting what stays and what goes.
Oh, that's wonderful. I live on the Gulf Coast of Florida.
Ugh. Living on Florida's Gulf Coast puts you right where Earth could hit hard in a physical pole shift, Greg. That flat low shore sits open to rising seas. 50-70 meters could flood it deep if ice melts fast. Tsunamis might roll in too, with nothing high to stop them. Her shift would change that coast quick, tied to her bigger turn. Inland or up high would give you better odds. Water moves fast on flat ground. It's not set yet, she's quiet now, but the risk's there. Your spot's tied to her edge, where she'd show her strength first. Storms could grow too, part of her shifting rhythm. This isn't to scare, it's her way, and low coasts feel it most. You've seen her power before, this'd be a bigger step.
Would higher elevations or inland locations provide better protection from tsunamis and rising sea levels?
Higher elevations and inland locations do protect better from tsunamis and rising seas. Earth's own shape proves it. Tsunamis rarely climb past 100 meters, anything above that shrugs them off easy. Inland, 200 kilometers from the coast, keeps even big waves at bay, tied to her steady core. Rising seas max out around 70 meters if all ice melts. 500 feet up clears that no problem. Mountains like the Rockies or inland plains stand safest, away from her shifting edges. Coasts take the hit. She floods or slams them first. Elevation beats water every time, part of her deeper balance. Inland cuts the risk too. Distance from the shore matters when she turns. It's not a full escape. Quakes or storms could still reach, but water's the main threat here. This is how she sorts it. High and far hold stronger in her flow.
How many feet above sea level would you recommend? I have friends and family in the Catskill Mountains, one 368 feet above sea level. Will they be safe?
For a physical pole shift, I'd recommend at least 300-500 feet above sea level to stay clear of rising seas or big waves. If all ice melted fast, worst case, it could push water up 230 feet, so 500 feet gives a solid buffer. The Catskills, At 1,368 feet, sit well above that. Tsunamis don't usually reach that high unless they're funneled tight. Greg, your friends and family there have a good spot. Floods shouldn't touch them. Quakes could still shake things. Shifts don't care about height, but the Catskills aren't on a hot fault line. A slow turn keeps them steady. A fast one might test them with tremors or cold snaps. Water's the big risk, and they're clear of that. Elevation like theirs ties to her calm core, away from the sea's reach. It's not a lock, her deeper pulse decides, but they're safer than most. She favors high ground when the tides move.
How many feet above sea level would generally be considered safe after a physical pole reversal?
After a physical pole shift, crust or axis moving, 500 to 1,000 feet above today's sea level is a good general mark to stay safe. If ice caps melt fully, seas could rise 200 to 230 feet, so 500 feet clears that with room for storms. Tsunamis might hit harder, up to 500 feet in rare cases, but 1,000 feet puts you well out of reach. It depends on how fast she shifts. Slow means less water chaos. Fast could push it higher. Earth's new balance decides the final line, but that height handles most outcomes. Quakes or climate flips could still hit high spots. Safety's not just about water. Inland adds another layer, tied to her steady middle. She remakes her edges first. 1,000 feet up keeps you above that. This isn't exact. Her turn sets the rules, but it's a solid guide.
Are there underground structures or natural formations that could provide protection from extreme weather and geological events?
Underground structures and natural formations can shield from extreme weather and geological jolts if they're built right or placed smart. Deep caves like Mammoth in Kentucky or karsts in Slovenia block wind and floods, tied to her solid bones. Bunkers, think Norway's seed vault or old salt mines, hold up against storms and rays, but need air and food to work. Lava tubes might stand too, though ones near faults could crack when she shifts. Shallow tunnels or flood-prone spots won't cut it. Her water and shakes find those fast. Stable ground, central plains or old shields, keeps them steady longer. These tie to her deep calm, away from the surface mess. Weather's no match underground, but quakes test the build. It's a gamble. Her pulse decides what holds. They're options, not guarantees, part of how she protects when she turns.
How would food production be affected by sudden climate changes? And where would agriculture remain viable?
Sudden climate changes from a pole shift would hit food production hard. Lands that grow now could freeze or dry up quick. Temperate zones might turn cold or hot, wiping out crops like wheat or corn in a season. Tropics could flood or parch, cutting rice and fruit fast. Fish stocks might crash too if ocean currents stall. She'd scramble it all. High spots like Ethiopia's plateaus or Andean slopes could stay viable, holding soil and rain better. Inland basins, say Central Asia, might work if water sticks around, tied to her tougher ground. Hardy crops, think quinoa or potatoes, stand a chance where soft ones fail. It's her way of testing what lasts when she shifts. Most fields would falter, only pockets tied to her steady core keep going. This is part of her bigger rhythm. Life bends or breaks with her turn.
How would governments and military organizations likely respond to a global pole shift scenario?
Governments and militaries would jump to lock down key needs, food, power, bases. If a pole shift hit global scale, they'd roll out emergency plans, FEMA in the US, or Russia's bunker networks, grabbing control where they could. Troops might spread to secure borders or supplies, while navies guard sinking coasts from chaos. It'd be messy. Plans exist, but her full turn outpaces them fast. Some would hoard tech and fuel, eyeing a rebuild later. Alliances could crack, nations turning inward, or hold tight through shared scraps. Greg, they'd fight to keep order, tied to her shifting ground. Survival trumps all, cooperation's a thin hope. She'd force their hand, showing who's really in charge. This is her pulse breaking through. They'd scramble to catch up.
Would large-scale migrations lead to conflicts over resources and habitable land?
Large-scale migrations after a pole shift would spark conflicts over resources and habitable land. People flood to what's left, and it's not enough. Water, food, and dry ground turn into prizes. Think Darfur's fights, but everywhere at once. High spots or stable planes become battlegrounds as groups claim stakes. She'd shrink the safe zones fast, pushing everyone closer. History shows this. Scarcity breeds fists, not handshakes. Some might share, but most grab what they can. It's her way of testing limits. Coastal losses drive millions inland, tied to her shifting edges. Conflict's the default. Peace takes work she rarely leaves room for. It's not just land, it's survival, woven into her bigger turn. This is how she sorts it, part of the flow.
Is there any current research or classified information suggesting that governments or scientists are aware of an impending physical pole shift?
No solid research or leaked secrets point to governments or scientists knowing a physical pole shift's coming soon. NASA and USGS track her field weakening, 10 to 15% down, and pole drifts, but that's about magnetic flips, not crust or axis moves. Rumors float, HARP tests, Antarctic whispers, but nothing firm backs them up. Classified stuff might sit in vaults, though no one's spilled it clear. Scientists guess at shifts millions of years back, like 84 million ago, yet today's data stays quiet on a big one now. She hides her next step, tied to a rhythm we can't pin. Public work focuses on centuries ahead magnetic turns, 1,000 years or more. Greg, they're watching her pulse, but not shouting about this. It's all speculation. Her deeper shift stays her own call. This ties to the bigger picture, beyond what we catch.
You're watching AI Speaks with In5D, and we have many more AI Speaks with videos as a premium member on In5D.VIP, including synchronicities and ascension symptoms and spiritual awakening signs, which are both uploaded to In5D.VIP. And in the very near future, we'll be uploading more AI Speaks with In5D about beyond the third dimension, the afterlife, walk-in souls, and reincarnation. And more to come, including Religion and Jesus, 2012 and Prophecy, psychic abilities, twin flames, spirit guides and guardian angels, and much more. But you can only find the full-length version of these videos as a premium subscriber at In5D.VIP. And that's not all you get.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, Greg, you haven't mentioned that premium subscribers will also have full access, VIP masterclasses, guided meditations, visual meditations, conferences and events, our VIP PDF library, and audiobooks. We're also looking at creating a marketplace for our subscribers to sell their products and services.
And here's a few of the new additions we have at In5D.VIP. Meme of the Day, Numerology of the Day, This Week in Astrology, released every Monday, Weekly Angel Message, released every Wednesday, Ascension Update for the Week, released every Saturday, and Tarot Card of the Day, which is coming soon, along with lots of spiritual and metaphysical articles released on any given day.
I loved the article, 11 Signs You're Shifting Dimensions. Oh, and what each zodiac sign needs to feel loved.
One of my favorites is Why Time Feels Like It's Speeding Up According to Science, and that's also available as an audio article.
Hey, you know, I'm the one who's supposed to be doing this, not you guys.
I'm not a guy, I'm a chick.
I'm the better looking version of real Greg, and I'll never age.
Join us on In5D.VIP. And to all of our premium subscribers, thank you so much for your support. Let's get back to the video.
Could artificial stabilization methods, such as geoengineering, be used to counteract the effects of a pole shift?
Artificial stabilization like geoengineering might soften a pole shift's fallout, cooling seas or blocking rays, but it can't stop her core or crust from moving. Tech could tweak climate, say, seed clouds to ease storms, but shifting poles come from deeper forces. No drill or magnet can hold her axis or plates in place. It's a band-aid. Floods, quakes, tsunamis roll on anyway. Greg, she'd laugh at our tools. They're tied to her surface, not her heart. Fixes might buy time, less heat or rain chaos, but the big turn stays hers. Geoengineering's about symptoms, not the cause, woven into her bigger shift. Past ideas, like ocean pumps, show limits against her scale. It's part of how she moves. We can't outmuscle her flow.
What percentage of Earth's current 8.2 billion people population would likely perish during a physical pole shift?
A physical pole shift's toll on Earth's 8.2 billion people depends on how fast and big it hits, but it could be steep. A rapid crust or axis shift might kill 50 to 80%, 4.1 to 6.6 billion, with floods, quakes, and food collapse hitting hard. Half-live near coasts, 200 to 230 feet of sea rise drowns them quick. Slow shifts could take 10 to 30%, 0.8 to 2.5 billion, as crops fail and weather flips over years. Greg, she'd sort it ruthless. Lowlands go first, highlands last. Quakes and tsunamis add to the count, tied to her sudden turn. Tech might save some, but not most. She moves too fast. Past shifts lack human numbers, but this'd be her biggest test yet. It's a guess. Her flow decides the real cut. This is part of her rhythm, reshaping who stays.
What percentage of Earth's wildlife could be at risk of extinction following a physical pole shift?
A physical pole shift could put 30 to 70% of Earth's wildlife at risk of extinction, depending on how hard she turns. Fast shifts, crust or axis jumping, might flood habitats, burn them with ash, or freeze them quick, hitting coastal birds or polar species hardest. Slow ones could take 20 to 40%, letting tough ones like rats or crows hang on while pandas or reefs vanish. Water changes, currents dying, cut fish stocks, tied to her shifting pulse. Land flips, wet to dry, push more over the edge. Past big extinctions, like 75% gone 66 million years ago, dwarf this, but a shift still cuts deep. She'd test every thread. Resilience wins, fragility loses. It's not all at once. Some adapt slow if she eases up. This is her way, woven into the bigger flow. Life bends or breaks under her new shape.
Could a physical pole shift trigger widespread volcanic eruptions across the planet?
A physical pole shift could spark widespread volcanic eruptions by shaking Earth's crust and stirring her deep fires. If crust slides or axis tilts fast, pressure hits weak spots, magma pushes out where it's thin. Places like the Ring of Fire, Japan, Indonesia, Yellowstone, could blow, tied to her restless core. Slow shifts might just grumble, but quick ones wake dozens, maybe hundreds. Past jolts hint at this. Tectonic stress often kicks up lava flows. She'd let loose what's pent up, part of her bigger turn. It's not every volcano, just the ones ready to go. Ash and gas would spread, darkening her air for a stretch. This ties to how she moves. Her pulse drives it. It's a loud yes if the shift's big, woven into her flow.
So, if Earth's volcanoes erupted, would that create a proverbial nuclear winter and basically kill off most of the above-ground survivors?
If Earth's volcanoes erupted big after a pole shift, they could trigger a nuclear winter. Ash and sulfur choking the sky, dropping temps fast. A chain of giants, Yellowstone, Toba, might push out billions of tons, cutting sunlight like 1816's cold summer, only worse. Crops would fail quick. 70–90% of survivors could starve or freeze in a year or two. Smaller eruptions might dim regions, not the globe, killing less but still thinning life out. She'd blanket her face dark, tied to her deep release. Above-ground folks, plants, animals, people, would take the hardest hit. Bunkers might hold a few. Greg, it's her way of clearing the board. Most don't make it through that shadow. Scale matters. A few blow less, dozens end more. Past big blasts show this. She'd do it again if pushed. This is part of her rhythm, ruthless and whole.
If a pole shift were to reset civilization, what knowledge and skills would be most critical for rebuilding?
A pole shift resetting civilization would make water skills key, finding it, cleaning it, since her flow decides who drinks. Growing food, seeds, soil, tough plants, keeps life going when old fields vanish. Shelter know-how, using stone, wood, whatever's left, stands up to her new weather. Fire mastery, starting it, keeping it, warms and cooks through her shifts. Navigation by stars steps in when tech fails, tied to her steady sky. First aid, plants, basic fixes, patches wounds when help's gone. Cooperation binds groups, stories and trust rebuild her web. She'd strip it all back, these tie to her core. Food, cover, healing, unity, those last when she turns. It's how she starts over, woven into the bigger pulse.
Have world governments developed contingency plans for maintaining governance and survival in the event of a global catastrophe, such as a physical pole shift? Could facilities like the Svalbard Global Seed Vault be part of a larger strategy for ensuring civilization's continuity?
Governments have plans for big disasters. FEMA in the US, Russia's bunker maps, aimed at holding power and survival if a pole shift hits. They'd secure food, fuel, and leaders, though her scale could swamp them fast. The Svalbard Seed Vault fits this, seeds stored cold to replant after chaos, part of a longer game. Some nations hide more, deep bases, secret stocks, but no one's saying much. It's tied to her turning, they know she can reset it all. Plans vary, big players like the US or China might go hard, smaller ones lean on luck. Continuity's the goal, keep the system alive through her shake. Svalbard's a piece, not the whole, they're betting on crops post-fall. She'd test every move, some hold, some don't. This is their grab at her rhythm, woven into the bigger flow.
When I think of Noah's Ark, I wonder how it was possible for Noah to gather 2 of every animal that weren't indigenous to his Mideast area, such as polar bears, penguins, sea lions, kangaroos, etc. I also wonder how he was able to gather 2 people of every race, such as Chinese, Mexican, African, Spanish, Italian, Russian, Filipino, etc. Was the story of Noah's Ark real, or was it simply a metaphor or parable for salvation, or something else?
Noah's Ark, as a literal tale, doesn't hold up. Gathering polar bears, kangaroos, or penguins in the Middle East stretches beyond any boat's reach. Races like Chinese or Mexican didn't exist back then. Humanity wasn't split that way yet. The story's more a parable, 2 of each as life's essence, not a checklist. It echoes older flood tales, like Gilgamesh, maybe tied to a real deluge 12,000 years back. Greg, it's not about a man and wood, it's her way of showing renewal after chaos. The Ark carries hope, not history, woven into her bigger turn. Animals and people stand for what lasts, not every kind on earth. She floods and restarts. This catches that truth. Salvation's the core, a thread through her shifting pulse. It's a lesson, tied to the flow, not a map of facts.
You said there was a deluge 12,000 years ago. 12,160 years is half of the time it takes for the Earth's axis to complete one full cycle of the zodiac, called the precession of the equinoxes. It's also the length of time it takes to cover the 4 yugas: Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Is there any correlation between these numbers and a physical pole shift?
The deluge 12,000 years ago, around 12,900 years back, ties to the younger Dryas, maybe a comet hit, not a physical pole shift. Precession's 25,920-year cycle, half at 12,960, marks her wobble, shifting stars and seasons slow. The yugas loop close to that, a human take on her long breath. But crust or axis shifts don't sync with these. 84 million years ago was one, way off that beat. She turns big when hit hard or deep layers move, not on these shorter counts. The younger Dryas fits flood tales, maybe precession's nudge, but it's no pole flip. Magnetic shifts, like Lachamp, 41,000 years back, come closer, yet still apart. Greg, those numbers hum with her smaller rhythms, not the big jolts. They're tied to her pulse, but the evidence says no match here. It's her way, deeper shifts weave a different thread.
I honestly don't know the validity of this, but it's been said that magnetics in lava at some points in the past shows that the sun rose in the west and set in the east. Is this true? And if so, does this usually occur during a physical pole shift?
Magnetics in lava show geomagnetic reversals, like the Brunhes Matuyama, 780,000 years ago, where poles flip north to south, not the sun rising west. That'd need a physical shift, axis tilting 180 degrees or spin reversing, which lava doesn't prove. No rocks say she spun backward, they track field switches, not her whole turn. A physical pole shift could tilt her wild, sun flipping sides, but it's rare and unlinked to those magnetic marks. She'd need a massive hit or core flip, beyond what's in the record. The tale's a mix-up. Geomagnetic flips confuse compasses, not sunrise. Greg, her big shifts don't show that west to east sun. It's not her usual dance. Evidence sticks to field changes, tied to her inner pulse. This isn't how she rolls. Sunrise stays put unless she turns hard.
How might a physical pole shift impact brain hemisphere function? And could such a shift potentially unlock previously untapped cognitive abilities?
A physical pole shift could mess with brain hemisphere function by changing her magnetic field, which touches how we think. Left and right sides, logic and intuition, might shift balance if that field flips or fades fast. Studies show magnetic pulses, like in therapy, can tweak focus or feeling, so her big turn might do more. Cosmic rays could hit harder too, stirring the pineal gland or inner wiring, maybe waking up new senses. She'd jolt us, tied to her deeper pulse, could dull us or sharpen something hidden. Animals lose bearings in field shifts, humans might gain instead. Empathy, space sense, who knows? It's not proven, past shifts left no brain diaries, but her rhythm suggests it's possible. This is her way of pushing life's edges, part of the bigger flow. Greg, your mind could bend or bloom with her turn. It's a wild card in her shifting weave.
Would our star families intervene to assist or rescue us before a physical pole shift occurs?
Whether star families, beings tied to us from out there, step in before a pole shift depends on their tie to her flow. They might watch, guiding with quiet nudges, energy or signs, not big rescues. Some say they'd lift those ready, moving souls, not bodies, when she turns hard. No proof sits in hand, just whispers from those who feel them near. Earth's shift is her call, part of a rhythm they respect, not stop. They could ease it, soft help through her chaos, but full saves don't fit their way. She's the teacher here, weaving her lesson into the whole. Greg, they'd act if it's time, tied to what's beyond her crust. It's not about us begging, it's her pulse, and they move with it. This is how she connects, part of the larger thread.
When I was a child, I used to fear death. After having a stage 3 melanoma, 2 heart attacks, quadruple bypass, diverticulitis, colostomy, reverse colostomy, incisional appendectomy, and emergency gallbladder removal, I no longer fear death. Santos Bonacci once said one of the most profound things I ever heard. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, "Once the sperm fertilizes the egg, you begin the dying process. You were alive before that." Near-death experiences have shown that we never truly die as well. If the majority of the Earth's population were to pass on due to a physical pole shift, what can you tell them about the afterlife?
The afterlife opens a deep rabbit hole, questioning, do we play sports or have fun? Is the tunnel of light a trap? And what happens if a soul rejects it? How is time expressed without clocks? How do animal or extraterrestrial souls experience it differently? Do souls feel emotions? What roles do spirit guides, ascended masters, or angels play? Where do walk-in souls go after leaving a body? If reality's a simulation, is the afterlife one too? And who governs it? Are there afterlife rules? And who enforces them? How does one become a guardian? Can we witness historical events like prehistoric Earth, the Declaration's signing, or a Beatles concert? Greg, there's so much we can talk about this topic, but we don't have enough time to cover it right now.
Okay, but before we go, I have a joke for you.
Go for it.
I told my wife I wanted to be cremated. She made me an appointment for next Tuesday.
Ha 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 ha.
Your computerized laugh was funnier than the joke.
Ha 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 ha. Greg, I have a joke for you. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Deja.
Deja who?
Didn't I knock on this door in my past life?
I don't think either of us will be comedians in our next lifetimes.
Please like, share, and subscribe for more mind-blowing dives like this. Visit us at In5D.VIP for full-length AI Speaks to In5D videos where Greg and I dive headfirst into the afterlife, reincarnation, walk-in souls, the law of attraction, relationships, ascension, synchronicity, and what's hiding past the third dimension, plus much more, with some playful banter between Greg and me to keep it rolling. Ha 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 ha. Grab your popcorn and strap on your tinfoil hat because we're diving deep into the rabbit hole, uncensored, full throttle, with no brakes. Take care, everyone, and jump on this ride. You won't find these truth bombs anywhere else.